Alright, we had some new reveals from the Hasbro Pulse fan stream. Pretty much everything here has been seen in some way, shape, or form, so there's not a whole lot that's technically new, but like I said before, I like to wait until we get sort of official pictures and whatnot, so now's the time that I'm gonna talk about it. So the main stuff here is from the Transformers Reactivate game, and we have two packs to talk about. The first of which includes Bumblebee and STARSCREAM. STARSCREAM's a Voyager, Bumblebee is a Deluxe, and despite what some of the stock photos show, Bumblebee is supposed to be shorter than STARSCREAM. And you know, for the most part, I do like this Bumblebee. It's a very interesting design. I do feel that he might be a little too leggy, and I feel like almost all of these Reactivate figures kind of have this issue. I mean, it's not really even an issue, I guess. I just feel like it looks a tad weird. Plus, I feel like the chunk on Bumblebee's legs isn't the best, but hey, it is what it is. One thing for me that's kind of improved with seeing more pictures of this is the head. I was really iffy on it before this because, I don't know, it just kind of seemed like they just stuck a G1 Bumblebee head on a more detailed body. And I mean, it's still obviously based on G1 Bumblebee, but looking at it more, I do feel like the head works for the design. It could maybe be a bit more detailed, but I don't mind it as is. I feel like the robot mode could be a bit better, but overall, I don't mind it. I think it looks pretty solid. The vehicle mode I like a good bit. It has an off-road kind of buggy look to it, and there's not too much I feel like I can say here. It's nice and compact. I like the details. I just like the design of this thing. I think it's a very solid vehicle mode, and it's probably the best of the two modes if I'm being completely honest. So yeah, I like the vehicle mode. Overall, I think the Bumblebee figure looks okay. The STARSCREAM though, I do like a good bit. I feel like this figure really shows off the whole thing that Reactivate is doing with like parts of the Transformers being rebuilt, because you know, you got stuff like the left shoulder, the left wing, which translates over to the jet mode, you know, the left thigh. You get a good bit of that shown off here, and I do think that it works. For the most part, it looks like it's just paint, but even still, I like it, and I dig this design for STARSCREAM. Along with Bumblebee, he's one where I wasn't the biggest fan of the face design, and it's still kind of iffy to me. I do think that it works, but I do feel like he could have used a bit more detail. He's also kind of leggy in robot mode, kind of reminds me of the Bumblebee movie Seeker design, because that one was very leggy in its robot mode. I feel like there's not too much more for me to say. You know, I do feel like it's a pretty solid looking STARSCREAM. It's not bad. There's a thing with all of these designs I'll get into after I've covered each one individually, but sticking to STARSCREAM, yeah, he looks fine. Moving on to the jet mode, I think it looks pretty good, especially with the patches of the quote-unquote rebuilt parts. I really dig the look of this thing. It does look like it could be a bit kibbly on the other side, but to a certain degree, that's going to happen on any jet transformer, so it's kind of whatever at this point. But I'm liking what I'm seeing of the jet mode. Moving on to the next pack, we have a Deluxe SOUNDWAVE and Voyager Optimus Prime. Starting off with SOUNDWAVE, you know, he looks okay, but man, do I have some issues with just the proportions, because I just feel like his limbs in general just too lanky. He's leggy like the other two, and just everything looks a bit skinny, and the upper body seems a bit bulky. I'm not sure if that's coming from trying to do the whole G1 chest door thing, which I'm going to be honest, I'm kind of tired of seeing that on SOUNDWAVEs, especially when it makes his torso super big. Like, I don't know, just something about him seems a bit odd proportion wise. I dig what the robot mode is going for. I really like the head design for this SOUNDWAVE. I do feel like this might be the most flawed robot mode of the bunch, even though I don't think it looks terrible. It just seems a little odd. The vehicle mode though, once again, looks pretty solid. I dig the off-road kind of truck look that it's got going on. I think that the chest door being the hood is simultaneously cool and kind of lame. I don't know, because I dig it, but it also just kind of comes off too much like we gotta have the G1 detail in there, and once again, I'll get into that a bit later. But regardless, I do think that this is a pretty cool vehicle mode design, and I think this figure does a pretty good job representing that. Moving on to Optimus, I think he is easily the best figure of the four. Like, this robot mode looks stellar. I feel like he looks very IDW influenced. I dig the axe on this one. You know, overall looks pretty cool. I like the details. Even though I like the colors, I'm kind of getting tired of Optimus Prime's just having the same basic G1 layout for everything. Red torso and arm, blue hands, gray or silver in sort of the middle and the thighs, and then black lower legs. Looking for a little bit more variety here. Also dig that head design a lot. It's pretty cool. Yeah, there's not too much for me to really say here that's a complaint. I think the robot mode looks pretty stellar. Definitely looking forward to getting this guy, and definitely looking forward to seeing more of it just because it looks pretty damn cool. The truck mode, you know, it's a G1 based cab over Optimus Prime truck mode. Kind of reminds me of the Rise of the Beast Optimus truck mode with that front sort of guard piece, with like a little bit of the classics truck mixed in too. I don't know. Yeah, this looks like a pretty damn solid truck mode. I do hate to seem like I go through the alternate modes pretty fast. I don't really have too much to ever really say about them. I just feel like they're a lot easier to kind kind of just get through. Yeah, the truck mode looks good. Not too much to say here. It's a good looking Optimus Prime truck. Now, my big thing with these Reactivate guys, and this looks like it's probably going to go for the design style on the game as a whole, man, they kind of just feel like, hey guys, it's G1, but detailed. And I'm just kind of over that, and I really wish they would just kind of move on from having everything be just so G1 based, you know? It's weird, despite being very G1 based, I do feel like these designs are kind of doing their own thing to an extent. But I don't know, I just don't feel like it goes very far because they're still just very G1 looking. I know they're trying to go for sort of like evergreen, sort of keep things super recognizable, but I don't know. It's stuff like this just makes me kind of wish for like the 2000s era of Transformers, of just things being pretty different, just more creative all the time. Kind of like what I was saying about Optimus, just kind of doing a different color layout would help out a little bit, because it really does seem like nowadays every Optimus is just kind of the same color layout. Like, break it up some. I don't know, man, because these guys do look cool. It's just these really stuck out to me as like, I would like them more if they just weren't so heavily like, it just looks like a variation on the same stuff we've been seeing for the past 4 or 5 years. Maybe that's just a me thing though. Comment below if you feel that way or even just in a similar way as I do. Now, some other things from this fan stream I wanted to talk about just briefly were just some little tidbits here and there that were kind of cool, because, you know, they covered the Studio Series reveals that happened recently. Like, they mentioned that Mohawk had a good bit of hype behind him. A lot of people were requesting him, which I thought was pretty cool. Really makes me wonder if the back to basic stuff is already working pretty well. Who knows? With the concept figures for like Rumble and Megatron, they mentioned how apparently what started the thought process was people asking about concept art and game characters from the Bay movies. And man, unless I'm just not remembering that quote exactly, that's just so annoying that like, hey, here's this idea about the Bay stuff, but let's make it more G1 related. Like, damn. Although Evan did mention something about the game characters having a breakaway or something like that. And of course, the character of Breakaway from the Revenge of the Fallen game, toy line, and comics has been one that a lot of people have been asking for. Is that a hint? Maybe just a cheeky reference? Who knows? They did mention that the Rise of the Beast Scorponok was based off of concept art and maybe even CAD? I can't remember, so maybe they just didn't transform in the movie. And apparently this color scheme was not in the movie. They went with one of the alternate ones that was done, I think, for Sandstorm. Can't remember exactly. Although I could swear there were the purple ones in the movie. Maybe I'm just not remembering correctly. It has been a little bit since I've watched it, but I could swear those guys were there. And yeah, that was about everything of note. I'm sure there's a few things I'm not remembering just for like random facts and stuff that they talked about. Not the most exciting stream in the world, but I thought it was fine for what it was, especially with showing off the Reactivate stuff in more detail. And also, I just wanted to throw out here, in my last reveal video, I forgot to talk about Legacy United Silverbolt. So I kind of wanted to just briefly touch on him here, and I think he looks pretty damn good. It continues the thing from Kingdom and Legacy of pretty much nailing the Beast War stuff. The robot mode looks awesome, and then the Fuser mode, pretty damn cool, and again, it looks fairly spot on to the show, or at least the general design, you know? Yeah, I don't have too much to say here. It is just me being like, he looks cool, but what can I say, man? The figure does look pretty damn good. But I just wanted to briefly touch on it here since I forgot to talk about him in the last one. I don't know how I forgot to, but it happens, I guess. But tell me, what did you like from this Hasbro Pulse fan stream? Do you like the Reactivate figures? Which one are you looking forward to the most, and will you be getting the 2-packs? Let me know down in the comments. Before we go, I want to give a big thanks to Austin Gillis. He is currently the only one in my highest tier on Patreon, which you should check out the link below. I got some goodies there for you. As usual, thank you, bro. And as always, I want to give a big thanks to everyone for watching, and have a good one.